The elevator doors slide open on the seventh floor of Channel 9 News, and Aisha Johnson bursts through like a Category 5 hurricane. Her braids whip behind her, laptop clutched against her chest, heart hammering so hard she can feel it in her throat. 28 years old, 5'6" of pure determination, wrapped in a thrift store blazer she's worn to every big story for the past 3 years. Lucky blazer. She needs all the luck she can get today. I've got it. Aisha's voice cuts through the newsroom, chaos keyboards clacking, phones ringing, the constant drone of cable news on every monitor. I've finally got the story that's going to change everything. Her coworkers barely glance up. Same old Aisha, they're thinking, always chasing ghosts in the machine. She weaves through cubicles toward the glass-walled office in the corner where her boss, Rick Henderson, sits scrolling through his phone. 52 years old, Yale-educated, never missed a country club payment in his life. He looks up as she barges in without knocking. Aisha, we've talked about boundaries. Valerie Tompkins is abusing foster kids. The words explode out of her. The mayoral candidate, America's sweetheart, the woman who's about to run this city. She's starving them, exploiting them, and I can prove it. Rick's face does that thing it always does when she brings him stories about people who look like her. That subtle tightening around the eyes, the way his jaw sets just a little harder. Where's this coming from? Anonymous tip. Sent to my personal email at 3 a.m. Aisha opens her laptop, hands shaking with adrenaline. Look. Photos, timestamps, addresses. This person has been inside Valerie's home. He barely glances at the screen. And how do we verify any of this? Could be a political hit job, could be someone with an axe to grind. He leans back in his chair, that patronizing smile creeping across his face. Aisha, I know you care about these issues. Your background, your experiences in the system. Don't. Her voice drops to ice. Don't do that. Do what? Make this about me being black. Make this about me growing up poor. But even as she says it, she's 12 years old again. Lying on a mattress on the floor of her third foster home, stomach so empty it felt like her insides were eating themselves. The foster mother spending the check on cigarettes and scratch-off lottery tickets while Aisha and the other kids, all black, all brown, all invisible, divided a single box of macaroni between 5 of them. She remembers the social worker who came once a month, a white woman with kind eyes and empty promises. Things will get better, sweetie. But things never got better until Aisha got herself out. Straight A's fueled by rage and desperation, scholarship to Northwestern, clawed her way into journalism because someone had to tell these stories. Someone had to make people see. Rick sighs like she's a problem he inherited, not a reporter he hired. Look, I'm not saying don't pursue it. I'm saying be smart. We can't run a story on an anonymous tip about a beloved public figure. That's how we get sued into oblivion. He stands, straightening his tie navy blue, probably cost more than her monthly rent. Get me something concrete. Get me on the record sources. Get me something that won't make me look like I'm running another minority sob story to boost ratings. There it is. The thing he's been thinking all along. Aisha's hands curl into fists. Those kids don't have time for me to jump through your hoops, Rick. If what my source says is true, they're suffering right now, today, while we sit here worried about optics. Then I guess you better work fast. He walks past her toward the door. But you do this off the clock. I'm not authorizing station resources for a witch hunt. The door clicks shut behind him. Aisha stands alone in his office, surrounded by his framed awards and photos with politicians and celebrities. People who matter, people who get believed. She pulls out her phone and texts the anonymous number, "I'm coming, give me the address." 3 hours later, she's standing on the doorstep of Valerie Tompkins' picture-perfect brownstone in Lincoln Park. The kind of neighborhood where every door has a wreath, every lawn is manicured, every family looks like they stepped out of a catalog for the American dream. Aisha adjusted her blazer and rang the doorbell. Valerie herself answers. 45, blonde, smile so bright it could power the city grid. Aisha Johnson. Channel 9, right? Come in, come in. I was thrilled when your producer called about the interview. Aisha didn't correct her about the producer part. She follows Valerie inside. The house screams money. Marble countertops, fresh flowers in crystal vases, family photos in expensive frames. And there, in the living room, 5 children arranged on the couch like props. 3 black kids, 1 Latina, 1 mixed-race boy who can't be more than 7. They're all smiling, all perfectly dressed, all looking at Valerie like she might snap if they move wrong. These are my angels, Valerie gushes, gesturing to them like prizes at a fair. Marcus, Kennedy, Jamal, Sophia, and little Deshawn. We're one big happy family, aren't we, babies? Yes, Miss Valerie, they chorus in unison, rehearsed, programmed. Aisha's journalist instincts scream. She sits down, pulls out her phone to record. Mrs. Tompkins, tell me about your work with foster children. What inspired you to open your home? As Valerie launches into her prepared speech about service and community and breaking cycles of poverty, the irony burning like acid in Aisha's stomach, she watches the kids, really watches them. Kennedy's collarbones jut out sharp under her Sunday dress. Marcus's eyes are hollow, distant. Sophia won't stop fidgeting with her hands. And Jamal, 7 years old, sitting on the end of the couch, staring at Aisha like she's a lifeline thrown into dark water. When Valerie turns to gesture at a photo on the wall, Jamal mouths 2 words, "Help us." Then whispers, barely audible, "She's starving us to look good on TV." Aisha's blood runs cold. Her hand moves instinctively, angling her phone to capture the kids in frame, still recording. Valerie turns back. Her eyes land on Aisha's phone. The smile never wavers, but something shifts behind her eyes, something sharp and dangerous. "I think we're done here." Valerie's voice drops 20 degrees. "Jamal, sweetie, why don't you take your brothers and sisters upstairs?" The kids disappear upstairs like ghosts. Aisha can hear their footsteps, quick and quiet, practiced at being invisible. Valerie crosses her arms, that campaign poster smile finally cracking. "Miss Johnson, I don't appreciate ambush journalism in my home. I think it's time for you to leave." "I was just conducting an interview." Aisha stands, pocketing her phone. "Standard follow-up questions about your foster care advocacy." "Right." Valerie's eyes are chips of ice now. "Well, the interview is over. My lawyer will be in touch with your station about proper protocol." Aisha walks to the door, but turns back. "Those kids look hungry, Mrs. Tompkins. When's the last time they had a real meal?" "Get out." The door slams so hard, the wreath shakes. Aisha sits in her beat-up Honda Civic for 20 minutes, hands gripping the steering wheel, trying to stop shaking. She plays back the recording. Jamal's whisper is there. Faint, but audible. "She's starving us to look good on TV." It's not enough. Not for Rick, not for legal. But it's something. Her phone buzzes. Rick's name flashes across the screen. "Tell me you didn't just doorstep Valerie Tompkins without clearing it with me first." His voice is tight with barely controlled fury. "I got an interview. That's called reporting, last I checked." "That's called career suicide." Papers shuffle on his end. Her people already called the station manager, said you harassed their family, made baseless accusations about child welfare. Corporate is having a fit, Aisha. They want you suspended pending investigation. The air leaves her lungs. "Rick, those kids are being abused. I saw it. I recorded." "You recorded what?" A kid whispering something that could mean anything? A gut feeling? His voice softens, which is somehow worse than the anger. "Look, I get it. You want to save every kid who reminds you of yourself, but that's not journalism. That's personal vendetta." "So that's it?" Aisha's voice cracks. "We just let her get away with it because she's rich and white and connected?" "I'm saying you need real evidence or you need to drop it. Those are your options." He pauses. "Take the weekend. Clear your head. Come back Monday ready to do your job the right way, or don't come back at all." The call ends. Aisha drives home on autopilot, barely seeing the streets. Her apartment in Bronzeville feels smaller than usual, walls closing in. She dumps her bag on the kitchen counter and stands there in the dark. Her phone buzzes again. Unknown number. Stop digging or everyone will know what you really are. A foster reject who got lucky. We'll make sure you never work in this city again. The message deletes itself 10 seconds later. Aisha's heart hammers. She screenshots it anyway, too late. Her hands shake so badly she nearly drops the phone. This is bigger than she thought. Valerie has reach, resources, the kind of power that crushes people like Aisha without breaking a sweat. She thinks about giving up, about walking away like Rick wants, keeping her head down, her job safe, her life uncomplicated. Then she thinks about Jamal's eyes. Help us. She stays up all night researching campaign finance records, property ownership, foster care placement histories. The data paints a picture that makes her stomach turn. Over the past 6 years, Valerie Tompkins has fostered 32 children. 31 were Black or Latino. 28 came from neighborhoods where the median income sits below the poverty line. Every single placement coincided with election cycles. And the older kids, the teenagers nobody wants, stayed in her care far longer than average. Years longer. Kids who should have aged out at 18 were still listed under her guardianship at 19, 20, even 21. Someone was falsifying records, keeping them trapped, using them. Monday morning, Aisha walks into the newsroom with 3 hours of sleep and enough coffee to fuel a rocket launch. She's prepared her pitch, rehearsed her arguments, gathered her evidence, but her desk is empty. Cleaned out, a cardboard box sits on her chair with her personal items inside. What the hell? She spins toward Rick's office. Her colleague Jason intercepts her. Mid-30s, Northwestern grad like her, but his degree came without student loans his parents couldn't afford. Aisha, hey, listen, I can explain. Explain what? He at least has the decency to look uncomfortable. Rick asked me to take over your Tompkins research. Said you were too close to it, needed fresh eyes. I thought I was helping by reviewing your files. Ice floods her veins. You went through my private files? They were on the shared drive, so technically... What did you do, Jason? He shifts his weight, looking anywhere but at her. I thought the story had merit. Real merit. So I took it to Rick with some additional research, and he loved it. Gave me the green light to pursue it officially. You stole my story, the words come out flat. Dead. I elevated it. You were pursuing it emotionally, like you always do. Women like you get too invested in these minority issues. Can't see the forest for the trees. He actually smiles, like he's doing her a favor. But don't worry, I'll make sure you get a mention in the credits. Aisha wants to scream, to flip desks, to burn this whole place down. Instead, she picks up her box and walks out with her head high. She makes it to her car before the tears come. Great, heaving sobs that shake her whole body. All those years of fighting, clawing, proving herself. And for what? To have some mediocre white guy swoop in and take credit? Her phone rings. Unknown number. She almost doesn't answer. Aisha Johnson? A young woman's voice, nervous but determined. Who is this? My name is Mia Rodriguez. I was in Valerie Tompkins' care 4 years ago. I saw your story on the news about investigating her. A pause. I need to tell you everything. They meet at a diner on the south side, the kind of place with cracked vinyl booths and coffee that tastes like it's been sitting since yesterday. Mia slides into the seat across from Aisha, 20 years old with old eyes that have seen too much. I aged out of the system 2 years ago, Mia starts, fingers wrapped around a mug she hasn't touched, but Valerie kept me on her books until I was almost 21. Falsified the records to say I was still in school, still needed supervision. Aisha leans forward. Why would she do that? The checks. State pays more for older kids, the ones nobody wants. Mia's laugh is bitter, plus it looks good for her campaign. Look at me, taking care of the troubled teens, breaking the cycle of poverty. She makes air quotes, voice dripping sarcasm. Meanwhile, we were sharing one bathroom between 7 kids and eating ramen 3 meals a day, while she drove a Mercedes. How did you get out? I didn't. I escaped. Mia pulls out her phone, scrolls through photos. I have everything. Financial records I copied before I left. Text messages where she tells other foster parents how to game the system. Photos of us looking like we were starving because we were. Aisha's hands shake as she looks through the evidence. It's all here. Everything she needs. Why now? Aisha asks. Why come forward? Mia meets her eyes. Because I saw what they did to you. Taking your story, silencing you. That's what they always do to women like us. Black women, brown women, poor women. They make us think our voices don't matter. She reaches across the table, squeezes Aisha's hand. But they do matter. Your voice matters. And I'm not letting them steal this story from both of us. That night, Aisha goes through Mia's evidence piece by piece. Bank transfers, forged documents, a whole network of foster care fraud designed to exploit the most vulnerable kids in the system. Then she finds something that makes her blood run cold. A name in an old file. Her own name, Aisha Johnson, age 6, placed with Valerie Montgomery, Valerie's maiden name for 3 months in 1997. The memories come flooding back, fragments she'd buried so deep she'd convinced herself they were nightmares. A blonde woman with cold hands, a basement that smelled like mildew, going to bed hungry while hearing laughter and silverware upstairs. Valerie had fostered her 22 years ago, and Aisha had blocked it out so completely she didn't even recognize her. The records had been scrubbed, erased, like Aisha had never existed in that house at all. She calls Mia, voice shaking. Did you know? Did you know she had me too? I found your file 3 days ago. Mia's voice cracks. I wasn't sure how to tell you. God, Aisha, I'm so sorry. Aisha sits in her apartment, surrounded by evidence of her own erased history, and something inside her hardens into steel. This ends now. 3 days later, Valerie Tompkins holds a campaign rally in Millennium Park. 500 supporters, news cameras, the whole production. She's at the podium talking about family values and breaking poverty cycles when Aisha walks straight through the crowd. Security moves to stop her, but she's already speaking, voice carrying across the plaza. Valerie Tompkins fostered me when I was 6 years old. Heads turn, cameras swivel. She starved me. She erased my records to hide the abuse. And she's doing the same thing right now to 5 kids in her home. Valerie's face goes white. Security, remove this woman. She's clearly disturbed. I have the evidence! Aisha holds up her phone. Financial records, forged documents, testimony from former foster children. The system let you prey on poor black and brown kids for decades because nobody believed we mattered. The crowd erupts, some booing, some cheering, everyone filming. Aisha's phone rings, Rick's name she answers on speaker. Aisha, what the hell are you doing? His voice is panicked. My job. Reporting the truth. You need to stop. Right now. A pause, then quieter. They paid me. Valerie's campaign. They paid me to kill your story, and I took it. If you don't stop, you'll destroy both our careers. The crowd around her gasps. The confession is live, broadcasting through her phone for everyone to hear. Then I guess we're both done, Aisha says, and hangs up. Security finally reaches her, but it's too late. The video is viral. Every phone in the park captured it. Every news outlet is scrambling. Then things go sideways fast. 2 men in suits grab Aisha's arms, dragging her toward a black SUV. Not security, something worse. She fights, screaming, and the crowd surges forward, but they're moving too fast. They shove her in the vehicle and it peels away from the park, racing through Chicago streets. Aisha's heart hammers. She fumbles for her phone, but one of them snatches it. Miss Tompkins wants a word, the driver says. They're going to kill her, or disappear her, make her another statistic, another black woman who asked too many questions. Then her phone rings in the man's hand. Not her phone, a different one, tucked in her jacket pocket, the burner Mia gave her for emergencies. "Answer it," the man with her phone says. The driver does. A child's voice fills the car, small and terrified. "Aisha, it's Jamal. We got out. We're hiding, but we don't know where to go. Please help us, please." Everything stops. The men look at each other. The driver pulls over. "Where are you?" Aisha's voice is steady now, calm, purposeful. "The library. On Michigan Avenue." "Stay there. Stay together. I'm coming." The man holding her phone looks at his partner. Something passes between them. Maybe they have kids. Maybe they have a line they won't cross. "Get out," the driver says. Aisha doesn't wait. She bolts from the car and runs. She makes it 6 blocks, lungs burning, before she sees them. 5 kids huddled by the library entrance, scared and brave and free. Jamal sees her and runs. She catches him, and he's crying, and she's crying, and the other kids pile on in a group hug that feels like coming home to a family she never had. "You came," Kennedy whispers. "You actually came." "Always," Aisha promises. "I will always come for you." The kids stay with Aisha that night, crammed into her tiny apartment. She orders pizza, the good kind with actual toppings, and watches them devour it like they haven't eaten in weeks. Because they haven't. Mia arrives an hour later with blankets and toiletries and the kind of fierce protective energy that only comes from someone who's been exactly where these kids are. "Child Services is coming tomorrow," Aisha tells them gently, "but I promise you, I will make sure you go somewhere safe. Somewhere real." Marcus, the oldest at 14, looks at her with eyes that have learned not to trust promises. Everyone says that. "I know." Aisha sits on the floor with them, eye level. "I know because I was you. I aged out of the system angry and alone and convinced nobody cared. But I'm here to tell you that your story doesn't end in that house. It doesn't end with people like Valerie deciding your worth." Sophia, 11, wipes her eyes. "What if they don't believe us? What if she says we're lying?" "That's why we have evidence," Mia says, pulling out her laptop, "and that's why we're going straight to the FBI." 2 days later, it's election night. The whole city is watching as results roll in. Valerie Tompkins is ahead in the polls, that perfect smile plastered across every screen. Aisha watches from her apartment with the kids, Mia, and a dozen community members who've rallied around them. Her phone hasn't stopped buzzing. Job offers, interview requests, publishers wanting her story. But all she cares about is the next 5 minutes, because that's when the FBI is scheduled to move. On screen, Valerie is giving her victory speech. The crowd roars. Confetti falls. She's talking about opportunity and justice, and the American dream when federal agents walk onto the stage. The room goes silent, cameras zoom in. The whole nation watches as Special Agent Chen reads Valerie her rights. "Valerie Montgomery Tompkins, you're under arrest for fraud, child endangerment, falsification of government records, and conspiracy to exploit minors for financial gain." Valerie's face crumbles. She tries to speak, but her lawyer pulls her back. The cameras catch everything, her perfectly constructed image shattering in real time. Then the news anchor cuts to a special report. "We're receiving breaking news that Channel 9 News director Rick Henderson has also been taken into custody for accepting bribes and obstruction of justice in relation to this case." Aisha's apartment erupts in cheers. The kids are jumping, crying, hugging. Justice, real, actual justice, happening in front of their eyes. Jamal climbs into Aisha's lap. "You did it. You saved us." "No, baby." She holds him close. "We saved each other." 3 months later, Aisha stands in front of the camera at a different network. They gave her the lead anchor position, primetime news, her own investigative team. But more than that, they gave her a platform. behind the scenes, her apartment is bigger now, loud and chaotic and full of life. Emergency foster placement turned into something more permanent. 5 kids who needed a home, 1 woman who needed to break the cycle. It's not perfect. Kennedy still has nightmares. Marcus struggles to trust. Deshawn won't sleep without a nightlight. But they're healing. Together. The red light on the camera blinks on. Aisha takes a breath. Good evening. I'm Aisha Johnson, and tonight we're talking about what happens when we choose to speak up instead of stay silent. She tells their story, not for ratings or glory, but because silence is how abuse thrives. Because somebody watching needs to hear that their voice matters. 3 months ago, I was fired for pursuing this story. I was told I was too emotional, too invested, too close to the issue, that my background as a Black woman who grew up in poverty made me biased. She leans forward, eyes intense. But here's what I learned. Our experiences don't make us biased, they make us qualified. The camera cuts to footage of Valerie's trial. 47 counts, multiple victims coming forward. A system that failed them, being forced to answer. Systemic racism, poverty, and prejudice thrive in darkness. They count on us being too tired, too scared, too convinced we don't matter to fight back. But what happens in the dark always comes to light when someone's brave enough to flip the switch. At home, the kids are watching. Mia is there too, enrolled in journalism school, following in Aisha's footsteps. We broke the cycle, Aisha continues. Not just for 5 kids in one house, but for every child whose story was buried because they were the wrong color, the wrong class, the wrong side of privilege. We proved that speaking truth to power works, that resilience wins, that we matter. She smiles, and it reaches her eyes. If you're watching this and you're scared to speak up about injustice in your community, I want you to know something. Your voice is powerful. Your story matters. And you are not alone. Back at the apartment, Kennedy looks at Marcus. That's our Aisha. That's our mom, Jamal corrects, and nobody argues. On screen, Aisha signs off. This is Aisha Johnson reminding you that change starts with one person refusing to be silent. Be that person, stand up, speak out, change your corner of the world. The camera fades to black, but the message echoes. Later that night, after the kids are in bed, Aisha stands on her balcony looking out at Chicago, the city that raised her, broke her, and ultimately gave her purpose. Her phone buzzes, a message from an unknown number. You inspired me to report my foster home. Thank you for showing me I matter. Then another. And another. Dozens of messages from kids, parents, survivors, all of them finding their voice because she found hers. Aisha closes her eyes and lets the tears come. Happy ones this time. She did it. They all did it. Together. Inside, she can hear the kids arguing about what movie to watch, Mia mediating, normal, beautiful chaos. This is what breaking the cycle looks like. This is what justice sounds like. This is what happens when you refuse to let poverty, racism, or prejudice write your ending. You write it yourself, in bold letters, with a happy ending nobody thought possible. And you invite others to do the same. Hey fam, remember to subscribe and turn on notifications for more stories like this. Because we're not just telling stories here. We're changing lives. We're proving that speaking up matters. That standing against injustice in your community makes a difference. What happens in the dark always comes to light. Always. Be the light.